Hey everybody, I just wanted to share something with you. I've had a couple of people ask me a question about a post I did back in May of 2019 around compost tea, and it really is timely for what we're dealing with right now. When I visited some of the nurseries and the big Lowe's and Home Depots, I've talked to a lot of people in the garden centers, and they're talking about potentially being out of bagged compost and stuff like that due to everybody now trying to garden. So I started thinking that maybe it'd be good for me to share with you a way to extend your composting and make teas. I will tell you just real quickly that a lot of it is anecdotal. There's not been a lot of science or testing around this, but for me, my story is it works. I've been using it for years and it works beautifully, and I usually start right now around April, May, and I use a lot of different ingredients just depending on what it is. I don't have a bubbler. I mean, you can buy bubblers, you can buy brewers, all of that. I just use a handy dandy stick, I'll show that to you in a minute, and a 5-gallon bucket, but you can get all sorts of extraordinary options and all of that kind of stuff. So that's totally up to you on how you want to do it. But I did want to share with you a couple of things. One thing I also love about compost tea is it's another way of adding your herbs and your medicinal herbs into your garden and into your life, other than just ingesting them and making teas and tinctures. The herbs actually do help. So I'll share with you a little bit about that as well. This is going to be a quick video. All it really is compost and water. That is it. And you can simply just add compost, like a third of a bucket, a 5-gallon bucket, a third to the rest water. You can do that. I do a couple of extra things, and I'll share those with you. The compost tea the water will leach the nutrients out of whatever you've got it in there and dilute it down. You can get it pretty high strength if you want. The one I'm making today is, I'd say, medium strength at this point. I use it for disease prevention. In particular, I know it works for powdery mildew and for certain kinds of gray mold. I do believe in my heart, not scientifically, that it helps with insects. It seems like it brings the good insects and deletes the bad insects. I do believe that it's greener. The foliage is greener, seems to be healthier, seems to grow faster, and I love the fact that it's natural. So I think it's just something that anybody can do. It's very simple. I'm in my backyard right now, and I've just got 2 pots that I'll share with you. I'm not sure exactly what you'll be able to see, but I'll lift them up. Let's see. That's it. Start with warm weather. When the nights are getting warmer, you don't want 30-degree nights and be doing this. But I would say mid-April is a good time. So I'm going to start a little early, since in Zone 7 we have already gotten quite a bit of warmer nights. My greenhouses are just going crazy right now. So I would do that. The other is I would probably you can do root feeding anytime during the day, as long as it's not real strong. But foliar feeding, I would do it at night, just because you don't want to get a sun scald on your leaves. But all right, so real simple. First off, 5-gallon bucket. I'm not sure if you can see it, but it's right down here, full of water. I have something here, which is a bag. It looks like a tea bag. It's just a big tea bag. This is called Grow Sun, but there's all sorts of different now compost tea bags. Why you do that is because everything's going to degrade and rot, and then if you put it in a pump sprayer, it's going to clog the heck out of it. So you don't really want to do that. So this works great. Pillowcases, old sheets, old t-shirts, things like that can work as well. Or you can just strain it at the end, and I've done that before. So you've got that. So the first thing you want to do is, see if you can see that. You're going to add, I've got here, the light brown is compost, the dark black is worm castings. A lot of people just put worm castings in and they make a worm casting tea. So you're going to put that into your compost gallon bucket here. So I'm just putting it into the bag. You don't really have to do that, but I'm doing it. So put that in. That's that, empty. The next thing you're going to do, and again, you can just use compost, but compost and worm castings is what I'm using. This right here is molasses. You can do molasses because it adds a sugar to the soil, helps with nematodes and things like that. So I add just a little bit of molasses, about 2 tablespoons to a 1/4 cup. For that. And you can use dried seaweed like a kelp. You can use, dried seaweed, kelp, any kind of seaweed blends. I use I've got a seaweed extract that I use that's pretty concentrated, about 2 tablespoons. This, FYI, is what I use as a very diluted tea for my greenhouse seedlings. Spray them every 2 or 3 days. And I root feed them with it too. So you've got that. I'm actually this stuff is so expensive that I'm going to rinse it and get all everything out of it that I want. All right, so, and then the herbs, pretty neat. What I've got today is some plantain. This is your nettle. So I've got a nettle harvest right there, beautiful nettle. And you don't have to cut it up. I just find it easier. So I just cut it into the bag. This is the stuff that's gonna rot on you. So you're just gonna cut it into just like what you would do in a tincture or a tea. You want to get it as small particles as possible. I'm leaving mine for about 4 days. You can go as fast as 24 hours. You can even, I saw in one of my Master Gardener classes, people adding vitamin C, like a tablespoon or teaspoon of vitamin C, and then you're able to use it a lot quicker. Some of you, like Laramie and some of you other chemistry people, can probably tell me why that is, but they do add vitamin C. So what I'm cutting up now is plantain, some plantain leaves. This is where I think a lot, where plantain with anti-infective and antibacterial, all of that. I believe since I've been adding plantain to my compost tea that it has gotten better in terms of dealing with certain types of diseases. And then the last, and again, you can add other kinds of things as well, so I'd love to hear what else you do, is my first flush of Comfrey. I have a big plant over near my fence, and it's been coming up beautifully. It's in full sun, gets a lot of water. So I'm using Comfrey leaves. And the Comfrey leaf I like because I truly believe that it helps with the rebuilding of plant tissue, and very similar to what it does in the human body. And so I put Comfrey leaf as well in this. And again, you see I'm just doing a very rough cut. This one's a little harder, but just a rough cut of this. Again, to just accelerate the actual rotting process. And what's going to happen is you will notice, and don't be scared of it. I remember the first time I did compost tea, it started to bubble within about 24 to 48 hours. And that's okay. That's just the bacteria, and a lot of you are expert fermenters, and I'm sure you know, particularly when you add those molasses, you're going to get that sugar, and you're going to start getting a tremendous activity going on inside of it. So eventually you're going to get something like this. I'm just pulling it out. You see, let's pull it out a little bit. It's full, the bag is full of all sorts of material that's going to rot down. And then I just take, again, I don't have a bubbler, I don't have a brewer or anything, but I just have an old bamboo stick. You can do a back of a broom handle, anything like that, and I'm just stirring it up. So for this, what I would probably do, because of this bag, this is a new thing for me. Last year I used pillowcases. I would just shake it up every day a little bit, and just make sure to get it to stir up a bit. And it doesn't smell the greatest, particularly if you use the seaweed. It's going to get a little bit, that's another reason why it's probably good that you actually do it at night, because it does have quite a bit of a smell as it starts to ferment. And I just zip my bag up like that. And when it's where it needs to be, I will strain it. And then what I usually do is, with a root feeding, I may dilute it 1 to 1. If it's a foliar feeding, I tend to go 10 parts water to 1 part compost tea, you'll get your feel for it. Just, you know, if you burn it, you burn it. There's no getting back from a leaf burn. So take it easy. I use this compost tea every day in some form or fashion, whether it's for the seedlings or my pot-ups, which are over here right now, or new transplants or things like that. So 10 to 1, 1 to 1 on the roots. And I will also tell you that I did a mistake last year where I let it sit too long, and there comes a point where you wait too long and it's actually too much bacteria. You've gotten into some bad bacteria and you can cause problems in your plants. So you just dump that out somewhere in your woods or wherever you can. But that's it. Compost tea, that's simple. Compost, worm castings, some herbs. I use comfrey, plantain, and nettle, seaweed, and molasses, and some water. Oh, rainwater. If you can use rainwater or non-chlorinated water, that's better. I didn't have that today. I just let it sit. It's going to rain tonight, and I'll let some of the rainwater get in here to dilute it down a little bit. And I think after you let it sit a while, it's not too bad. But that's it. I'll try to do more of these as I can. Please let me know if you enjoyed this, and if there's any questions, just put them on the comments at the bottom. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this little piece of my backyard and a little piece of my life. You take care. Bye.